Okay, let us look at the government bonds results for September. If you are investing less than 500,000, you want to ignore this part and also ignore this part. Then where there is money, it's just this one here. It's just here. This coupon yield rate. This is what you are focusing on, and the rest is noise. Of course, you are looking at the coupon rate in relation to the tenure here. So what you are doing essentially is you are looking at the 2-year bond. How much interest is it giving? It's 15.5%. The 3-year bond, what interest is it bringing? 16.25%. How about the 5-year bond? 18%. The 7-year bond, 18.5%. The 10-year bond, 19%. The 15-year bond, 20.2%. After you have looked at this, you want then to go to the previous month and just compare with what was happening in the previous month. Now, if you look at August, you are going to do the same thing. You are just going to focus on the cutoff yield rate and also the tenure. So when you are looking at the tenure here, you are going to look at the interest rate. So we can see that the 2-year bond has maintained. So we want to see the changes. So let's just compare. In September, the 2-year bond was 15.5%. In August, it remained the same. In September, a 3-year bond was at 16.25%. In August, it was 15.5%. So we can see that the 3-year bond went up. For the 5-year bond, it was 18%. 5-year bond still 18% in August. In September, the 7-year bond was 18.5%. In August, it was 18.49%. Just a slight increment of 0 point something. Oh, it's just the same, 18.5, here 18.49. So there's just been an increment of 0.1. Let's look at the 10-year bond. The 10-year bond here is 19%, and then here in August it was still 19%. Then if you look at the 15-year bond, it was 20.2%. In August, it was still 20.2%. So what we can clearly see here is that the ranges in terms of the coupon rate is between 15%. It's between 15% and 20.2%. So when you are doing your strategic planning in terms of investing in government bonds, you want to think in terms of 15.5 to 20.2%. The other thing that you want to focus on, of course, is this. You want to look at the You want to look at the 2-year, 3-year bonds and the 5-year and 7-year bond, and also the 10 years and 15-year bond. These are short-term bonds, these are medium-term, and these are long-term. So you are saying, okay, if I invest in the long-term bonds, what is the difference in terms of interest rate? 15.5% and 16.25. Okay, for the 5-year bond and the 7-year bond, the difference is just the 0.5%. And then the difference in the long-term bonds between the 10 and the 15 is about 1.2%. So that is where now you begin to think hard and say, is it worth it to push in my money for 15 years for purposes of the 1.2%, or maybe I can just go for 10 years? Or is it worth it to go for 7 years because of this 0.5%, or maybe I can just go for the 5 years? Then here, in short, if you don't want to do treasury bills, the best you can do is just a 2-year bond. But again, you see the difference if you compare it with the 3-year bond. So these are some of the questions that you need to begin to ask yourself. And then the other thing that you want to focus on is, of course, the amount that was offered here and the amount that was bid. Now you can see that the government only offered 1,800 million. That is what the government offered. But in terms of what people were willing to buy was 4,440. Almost 3 times this, what the government had offered. So you can see that the demand is very, very high. A lot of individuals, a lot of organizations have lent this bond thing, and they are on board. So if you're not investing, you're probably the only one who's not investing. Everybody is doing it. The demand is high. And when the demand is high, we expect these interest rates to remain the way they are. But then what is amazing about the September results is that when it came to allocation, the government almost allocated everything to what was bid. Because if you compare to what was offered at face value and what was allocated at face value, you can see that it was beyond, quite beyond the 1,800. So you can see that the government is probably very happy lending out money to you at these rates. These rates are comfortable for the government. The other important thing that you need to figure out as you look at these results is this email address. This email address is very, very important. You've seen this email address here. Yes. So if you're opening your CSD account and you've got issues with your CSD account, this is the email that you are going to contact. Are you happy with these results? Are they exciting you? I'm expecting the bid value to reduce, especially in the October auction, because of the increment of the withholding tax. So some investors are going to pull out. They'll be frustrated and they'll say, I'm not going to invest. That is going to be your opportunity to invest. And then, like I said, when the amount bid begins to reduce, this number here begins to reduce, it means that the demand is going down. So when the demand is going down, we will then expect the interest rates to be favorable. That is why, as an investor, it's important to stay consistent. So in my mentorship group, I'm going to walk you through a bond analysis from January to date. How were the rates performing? How were the rates doing? And then how do you respond? What bidding strategy, what bond market strategy are you going to use as you are investing in the next 3 months? That is the last quarter, October, November, and December. You can't use the same strategies you were using from January to September, because things have changed now. Things are changing, and as such, you need new strategies, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing in my mentorship group. So for those who are investing more than 500,000, you want to focus on these two columns. And in my later episodes, I'm going to talk to the competitive bidders, but for now I want to talk to my friends, the non-competitive bidders. So I just thought of explaining this so that you just understand what is happening here. Of course, if you want to learn more about this, just contact me on WhatsApp. I'll be able to help you join my WhatsApp groups. It's free, so that you can learn for free. Then if you want, you can migrate to the paid up groups if you've got a budget for that. Thank you so much for listening.